Welcome to Licking Non-Vanilla, a sex-positive hour of talk about kink, sexual mores, and writing dirty words. So grab a cup of cocoa, your favorite easy chair, and the lube as we go sailing into the dark, sweet waters of all things naughty. On Licking Non-Vanilla with your hosts Ralph Greco Jr. and M. Christian.
Hey kids, welcome to Licking Non-Vanilla once again. Just watching those numbers go by, Chris and I keep thinking of the Thunderbirds. You've reached, well, I don't know what it is. It's kind of an hour or so of sex-positive meanderings from our minds. My name is Ralph Greco Jr., and across the aisle from me, across the country, but not across my heart, very close to my heart, is...
Chris, otherwise known as M. Christian from Eugene, Oregon.
Right. When you know him as M. Christian, but you have to call him Sir.
Or M.
So today, or God, or whatever you want. So today we're lucky enough to have Steve Callow with us. And Steve is from the CEO of the PerfectFit company, actually. And Steve was nice enough to send me some stuff. When I say stuff, I mean butt plugs, basically. And did a little research, as we say. Should we say that, Steve? We did some research and got into them.
Or they got into you, actually.
Yeah, right. So, Steve, I got to tell you, these plugs are quite well made, but I also want to use the word formidable, if I might. Is that the right word you think to use them with them?
So there's a million butt plugs on the market.
Right.
And if you don't know anything about our philosophy of the company, everything we design is usually from a fresh perspective. It's not intentionally to just do something different. It's always because we feel like there's an opportunity to improve something. But at the same time, when it comes to butt plugs, there's so many trainer kits on the market. I felt like this whole line X-Play is intended to be for the more experienced user, so we thought we'd make a plug that's going to be for the person who's already a little bit experienced. Even though we have a so-called trainer kit there, you'll notice that there's still pretty large plugs in the trainer kit compared to what other trainer kits might be. And the concept of the design was, of course, we've introduced this new feature, the finger grip, which we can talk about.
Yeah.
But like you said, the plugs are big. They're long. They fill you up. They're designed to be a more of a filler up plug, not just a stopper, right?
Right. That's an interesting way of saying. I didn't even think about that. Filler up as opposed to just a stop. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. So, Chris, do you see that when I sent you the pictures? You saw the finger grip, right?
Yes, they look great. I love that feature. That's wonderful. Because there's one thing about butt plugs. Getting them in is one thing, but often getting them out is another. And that's really quite cool. I like that feature.
Yeah, it is a pretty good. And that little catch there is very strong. It's as strong as the rest of the plug.
Sure.
It's not just this little wimpy, loose little feature that you can't get the plug. It's as strong and it's, as formidable, again, as the plug.
Right. It's designed for both making it easier to enter, to place the plug in, but also to take it out. But mostly, really, I designed that feature because it's hard for a person who's engaging in solo play to often get a plug in, because trying to grip the base, especially if you have lube on your hands, it's kind of hard to do, and you kind of have to grip the back of it or the part that would actually go also against your body as well as the front. So that whole aspect of it makes it difficult to operate. And the finger grip, of course, you just slip two fingers through it. It's a tight little strap. It's not designed to be like a handle. It's not a handle at all. It's literally a strap that's molded into the plug that you slip your fingers in, and it tightly, is held around your fingers, and you have a good lot of control. It's really designed for two-finger use.
And Chris, Steve just used a very important word when it comes to anal play, and that word was lube.
Yes, exactly.
Know, right?
Yes. I do want to say, I wish everybody would take your lead by. Yeah, I love the way you're leading by example. I think this should be a standard feature on all of them, because it's such a wonderful idea, and that is something that comes up. And you're right, Ralphie. It's like lube, and more lube. I mean,
we've said this is something we kind of that's kind of our I would say, our ethos, right?
Mm-hmm.
We say that all the time. But so, Steve, tell us about other products too. The other Perfect Fit has a lot of stuff going on, and we want to talk
Right.
about the other things you have.
Well, I've been in this industry for 18 years now. I started with my first company, which was a product that I'd come up through traveling myself as a consultant with Accenture. I just felt like there was an opportunity to improve on the portable enema kits. As you know, for gay men, it's something that's used a lot, and to have a travel capable feature was just not something that was easily found in the market. And that turned out to be quite a successful invention. I've been making it for 18 years in 3 different versions now, and that was product number 1. I'm now up to product 190. And these are all products that I've designed are usually
That's a lot of stuff, Steve.
first of their type. Just like that finger grip, you'd say you wish everyone sees that on there. No one's ever done that before. So I actually have filed a utility patent on that.
Cool.
Which means that nobody else can use that feature without licensing it from me. So a lot of the designs that I've come up with over the years, people have copied, but what I'm trying to do more than be critical of them for copying it is really just trying to get a license fee out of them.
Right. Okay.
So I have 13 categories. Don't ask me to name them right now. 13 categories of products that were created by our single launch. So we created a product that was interesting to the market. Other manufacturers started to build on it, and that actually has since become a category. That where actually you see a bunch of products listed with that particular feature named as a category, like a tunnel plug. Tunnel plugs were something I invented probably 11 years ago, and today there's over 300 tunnel plugs on the market from other manufacturers all around the world. But though I created it, I never patented it. The name is trademark tunnel plug, so you see other people using the name. I don't have any issue with it at this point. I'm just glad that whole concept took off. And today my tunnel plugs 11 years into making them still sell like crazy. It's kind of funny. So we do a lot of products. We sort of had started with the in one category, and over the years we've developed a line of products that we have strap-ons, we have the sheaths, which we're very well known for. And then we have, of course, a large number of cock rings, but all specialized in the sense that they all have specific functions and designed to really be attractive to certain types of tastes, for whatever the purpose may be. We've got a lot of things. Is there anything you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, specifically, Chris, I was thinking like in the years he's been in business, when I did speak to Steve in a different interview about this as well, but I want to hear him say it, aloud to our listeners. What's the big formidable change, Steve, over the years, you think, in all the, if you can pinpoint one thing in the sex toy world that's changed over the years, for better or worse?
Wow, I'm just writing an article right now on it's an opinion piece talking about how 15 years ago all the things gay people did would be considered taboo, and in fact they were illegal in some states. And today they've become so mainstream and accepted by everyone. And of course, we don't use the labels anymore. We don't have to identify as being gay to do things that someone would have, 15 years ago would have identified as being a gay activity. And I think that is really what's changed, is that the world has opened up to just exploring the body and enjoying the pleasure of it without having to create these so-called labels and having products marketed specifically to a gender as opposed to an experience.
An activity, yeah. Yeah. Chris, what do you think about, because coming from, you were in the San Francisco scene for years and years and years, but Steve's approach, I think I would say that's probably the number one thing that I've seen as well, is that it's not so gender specific at this point.
I love it. I think it's brilliant. I think, Steve, you're that's great. I'm still baffled sometimes doing sex toy reviews when someone are like, "Oh, it's a toy for fill in the blank." It's just like, come on, guys. Inclusivity, diversity. I mean, it's I'm always surprised when they do that. So hearing you say that it really is universal is wonderful, because that you don't need to say this is a it can be a couple's toy, but it doesn't necessarily be a heteronormative couple. It could be anything. So as long as you have the anatomy the toy is built for, no matter what you are, it works perfectly, which I think is great. And you're right. It's like we don't really see that much anymore, or at least not very often. Is like, here's the queer toys, here's the straight toys. Again, some companies sort of need to get on the ball.
Well, the thing I find about that I've learned about that is there really is still two sides to it, because we launched the world's first female to male gender, sex toys, so the FTM community never had a toy that was identified as an FTM toy prior to the launch of our Buck Off. And we did that in conjunction with Buck Angel. And it was a huge success. I mean, it got an enormous amount of press. I mean, it was in Forbes magazine even, and it continues to be an extremely strong seller. So here we're identifying a product specifically for a gender, someone who identifies as a gender, because specifically this product was designed to help people become more comfortable with their bodies who are with that particular identification. But at the same time, I feel like you shouldn't have an FTM section in a store. You should have a masturbator section, right? Yeah, right. And then in there you have, and that's what we've done with our website. We've created products, and we have products that are masturbators, and they're for him, and they're for her, and they're for others, and that's the way I think it needs to work. I mean, for so many years, because I started out making products that would have been labeled gay products, and even my packaging was very suggestive that they were gay products. Okay, they were gay products, right? What we found is that the retailers continue to label us that way, but that's not how the consumer sees us. I mean, the consumer buys, one of the most recent mistakes I made again is I launched this product line with a pretty big name gay porn star. And because I wanted to be able to have a product that was really going to be well adopted in the gay community, because there's still some issues sometimes with the packaging that make gay people not want to buy it. And predominantly my market's straight. 80% of my customers, I would say, are heterosexual couples, which surprises a lot of people, and it even surprises me. But the thing is that I found that there was really no value of having that as or presenting it through a gay sort of positioning in the marketplace, because the very first reviews we got on this particular one product were from straight people saying, "This is not a gay product. This is a great product. My wife loves it. So, stop doing that." And so even if we have the wisdom not to do it, we still make the mistake, and the consumers correct us on that.
Well, you got to be, I guess that's what it's about, right? Be able to pivot if a situation presents itself where you can either present the product differently or just have learn, like what you're saying. You're learning all the time, right? I mean, that's what
it is.
Yeah.
There's a bit of, you have to make products that work for the physical genitalia, if you will. Yep. It has to work. But at the same time, then whoever that person is going to have sex with, it may have to be different depending on what they're engaging with. So it's getting a little more complicated these days with making one product that sort of suits a lot of needs. And I probably will never totally do that, because I'm a functional designer and a functional inventor. So everything I design and invent is really designed with a specific purpose to improve or create a new sensation that hasn't been done in the marketplace before. And, that's even from my original cock armor. I hope I'm allowed to say that online.
Say whatever you want here. Anything you want here.
That product was, the first product ever designed to actually fit onto your torso, as opposed to be a ring that sits around the base of your scrotum and your penis. Because that when a ring just sits there, of course it works in some function, but what the Armored series product does is it's actually shaped to anchor onto your torso, and it actually gave you support. It was like the push-up bra for men.
Oh, cool.
Now, we never described it. We never described it that way, but the reviews on that product when we launched it are phenomenal. To this day, people write in, this product's amazing. And it really was just because we looked at a different purpose for the product and came up with a different attitude. And it doesn't work that way in my head, by the way. I just come up with, this would be cool if I did this. And that actual product I hand carved out of foam, because the shape was so complicated before we catted it. But that's really what we learn, is once I create these shapes, we say, we get the response from the feedback from the consumers on what they're saying, what they like about it, and this is how we learn to market this product.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what it's about, right? I mean, you have to. I guess there are those products and services that can go forward without listening to their public because they happen to create something or grab the zeitgeist in some way. But generally speaking, I think if you're going through it with blinders on and have a myopic view of what you're doing, I don't know how far you're going to go. I just don't think it's possible, especially what you're talking about, what you do.
Well, I think one of the challenges we have is being an innovation firm, and I really do believe we've produced a lot of innovation for this industry. There's always the take-up curve, So there's the early adopters, people who will buy something new, and they'll have their experience with it. And if their experience isn't good, it might stall the whole process. But normally, when we come up with a brand new concept, we need a lot of resistance. And we often meet it mostly in the retail networks. They don't understand why they would introduce something new, or they don't know how to sell it. So it sits on the shelf. And then the best way for us to get it into the hands of the consumer is to sell it through an online retailer who can really do the pitch and then can immediately get reviews. But for instance, like my Zorro strap-on, I could not get the retailers to buy it. They all felt forever that a multiple part system where you had a harness and a separate dong would be a better value for the consumer. And I came in and said, how could that be a better value when you can buy my complete kit for, $90 and the strap-on and the harness costs $200 and you still have to buy a separate dong if you want to interchange it. In mine, you just buy yet a different one. And, the reason why I can't do the harness part is because my piece is structured to anchor onto your pelvis. You can't do that with a harness. You always have a weak point. You always have an intersection between the actual dong and the harness, and that point is where all the energy is transferred into your body, but as well as also the point where everything pivots. And my idea was to remove that junction and build the frame outwards from there. So I have this one-piece mold. It's an extremely strong patent that I have on this product. So the longest patent, too, is 500 pages.
Wow.
But it really has proven. It took about 5 years before I could get the retailers to start carrying it, because it really took the online retailers to get the reviews from the consumers for that to start to push. And now those two Zorros that I make are in the top 5 products that I sell.
Cool.
But it's taken that long.
And that's the thing, is like overcoming that resistance. And it's unexpected, I mean, at least for me, that the retailers were the ones who are like resisting. It's so frustrating because here you are like rethinking the whole idea of things like a strap-on and, really pushing it forward. And then to have the resistance from people you'd think would be like, oh, wow, a new product we can sell. And it's so weird.
Nope. It's not that way at all. They have their own views, and they've been selling. They have their own pitches they've been giving to the customers for so long. And maybe there's also, relationships they have with other manufacturers, and they don't want to, jeopardize those in any way. So it takes a long time. It really does. Every single product, like my bumper is an interesting product. Have you guys heard about that bumper yet?
Tell us about it, Steve.
So the bumper was, this came out of hearing discussions and I started doing some research that some people were using my cruiser ring, which was really the first soft, stretchy, sort of bulky cock ring on the market ever. And they were using that just to sort of act as a bit of a cushion for hard thrusting. And then I started doing research, and I started to realize that there's my own experience and a lot of other people's I've heard, that sometimes the penis is just too long or too big or it's got a bend to it, or one position hurts versus the other. And I thought to myself, well, this is a real problem, because there's going to be experiences, and I was reading about this, that, somebody tries anal sex for the first time and it hurts, and then they don't want to try it again with that partner because they're so worried that it's going to hurt again. Oh. So the bumper is a product that creates a substantial cushion between you and the torso of the person wearing it, or on the penis. It's actually a carefully designed product so that it can reduce penetration depth by 2.5 inches. So, and it's selectable, basically. And what that does is I talk about it from the guy's perspective, but if you're about to hurt your partner and you have to go slowly and you're holding back, that's not as much fun as just being able to relax and know that your partner's enjoying it. Yeah. And so this product, if you wear it, allows you to feel confident that you're not going to hurt your partner. And of course, your partner, if they know that as well, then they can relax and they can enjoy it. And it just opens up the experience. And I sort of use the tagline, never hold back again. But, that's what I named the product. But that was the wrong way to sell it, because it's the women who are searching for this product. They have all these reasons to wear it. The postpartum, there's the whole thing with the cervix placement, certain types of position, anal sex, penises that have curves in them. There's a million reasons to use it. It's the second most searched product on my site. I patented that product. I was the first ever to create something like that. And so, but the funny thing is, though there are as many searches for it, there's still a lot of resistance to buying it. It's so interesting, isn't it?
It is very interesting. I just think it's fascinating to hear this, because it's like a side of the sex tech industry I just didn't know about.
Which aspect? You mean the whole?
Well, the
side?
retailer resistance and that kind of thing. I mean, it's just like, I'm like grooving on all these new toys, like the fantastic stuff you're doing, and there's other people who are like stretching the limits. But then to hear that the resistance isn't like, from the public, it's actually from the retailers. That's just like,
which is interesting, because you'd think it would be the consumer saying, "Well, this is just something we don't want," or "This is something we don't haven't been introduced to."
Slow build up, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think most people are interested. If they have an interest, they're going to give it a shot, or they're going to look at it at least. But you want to at least get it to the point that they can see it, look at it, as opposed to the retailer won't even present it. Which is.
Well, part of the challenge, I think, with the retailers is that they only have so much floor space.
That's true.
They want to have products that turn over, that they have experience that they know are going to sell.
Exactly.
That's what they want to put in there, and they want products that they know their salespeople know how to sell.
Yeah.
And, until it gets to the point where the consumer has heard about my product and then actually goes in and starts asking for it, then it's still a difficult sale, to the retailer, because they don't really want to do all this pre-selling for you, in a brand new concept. Because a lot of times I think people go into the stores to shop, but they're not really asking the salesperson for advice. Listen, my penis is too long when I start my girlfriend, when I'm doing anal sex. Do you have a product for that?
Right. That's right. I have that question.
Right.
That's not the query that's happening in the retail space. Yeah. So, Steve, tell us, at the end, we have a little bit of time more. I just want to get into what's on the horizon for you. What's coming? Like, what's even percolating in your brain at this point that you could tell us about?
So the X-Play line has been kind of exciting for me. Brought some cool concepts. You saw the finger plugs, but I also introduced a new type of a cock ring called a wrap ring, which is basically an elastic band designed.
You sent me some of those,
yeah, which has proven already to be a huge success. I had launched it in a previous line a few years ago. In a different styling, but this new format is really working well for me. But I really want to focus on 2 new patents that were issued to me that focus on a type of strap-on technology that I've invented that will really help guys who have ED. And so the thing is, most strap-ons are difficult for the man to put on if his penis goes inside it, because because of the size, because there's really, you're creating a vacuum, or the opposite of a vacuum. You have an air bubble in there when you're trying to get your penis in there. There's a lot of flaws with them. The Zorro was a product that allowed people with ED to put that product on and tuck their penis out, so they didn't even have to try and fit it in there. What that did, it also allowed the product to be sized in such a way that it was really accommodating what most people wanted in terms of a size of insertable. Because if you have to make it to fit around a guy's penis, then it's going to be substantially bigger than the average penis, right? So my latest patent called the Zorro Encore is a 2-part system. And I really want to develop this technology because I think it's going to make it easier for people to get a strap-on and have the penis in the right location. And if you don't have an erection, you're still going to have movement. So one of my big things in my philosophy on design that really showed through on the Fat Boy design, which I launched 11 years ago, the Fat Boy was the very first product that was considered an extender where both people would get stimulation at the same time while using it. It was a revolutionary concept because at that time, extenders were designed really for the receiver's benefit. You enlarge your size, but the person putting it on didn't get any sensation. Well, now I've come up with this new idea is that here we can have a strap on, so you don't have to have an erection, but you will still get stimulation. And it's an interesting concept. It hasn't actually been product tested, proof of concept yet. We did prototyping only, but I'm pretty sure it's going to work because I've been playing around with it and the patent's issued. So I plan to develop that. Now that's a pretty big project for me to develop something with that many variables and things to consider and stuff. But that's one of them.
That's cool. Very cool. That's very exciting. I like that. That is a very big problem with strap-ons.
I like that idea of like both people are going to experience pleasure from this thing. It's not just, we're not just thinking one way, you know. So Steve, tell everybody where they can find you. And once this show goes up, the blog will go up and I'll put the URLs in there and all that stuff. But right out of the horse's mouth, so to speak, tell everybody where they can find your stuff.
So probably perfectfitbrand.com, just as it sounds, is our own website. We run that. We also have an Amazon store under Perfect Fit Brand. If you go to Amazon/Perfect Fit Brand, Amazon, because we're the branded, we own the brand. We actually can't put as many products on there as we'd like because there's, long story, Amazon sort of is very careful about what words are used when it goes into a web store.
Oh, yeah, we know that.
Even though they might have categories called anal products. You can't have a web store that has anal in it. Right. So we can't sell all our products there, but we do very well on Amazon. So those are two areas that we run. But then you'll also see our products on a lot of sites. So if like our Zorro strap-on, our Play Zone, top sellers on top-rated products on Adam and Eve, which is the largest online retailer in the world. We sell other products there as well. And then basically, the Fat Boy series can be purchased at almost every store. That's how I feel. It's like usually they carry one or two of the models. I went to a lot of trouble to design a series of products there that was fit everybody. And so if people walk in, they only see two, chances are they're probably not going to get the right size. But just FYI, we have a 100% money-back guarantee on all our products. So even if you go and you buy it from another retailer and it's not the right size, you just call us up or you actually send us a contact through our contact form on our website, and we will exchange it free of charge.
Wonderful. That's magnificent.
Yeah, that's a big bonus. It really is. Well, Steve, the stuff is great. I mean, it's well made. It's made with integrity, and it's made with, like, from a designer's viewpoint, a functionality, and you got your eyes and ears open to what's happening around you. I mean, really, you're doing it right as far as I'm concerned. Whatever that's. I
completely agree.
And
it's worth a lot. Thank you so much. I love hearing that.
Yeah. So we thank you so much, Steve, for coming on Licky Non-Vanilla. This is our about a half an hour break in here, so we have to take our time here. But anyway, that's Steve Callow. Steve, thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect Fit. Go and check out his stuff, and we're gonna blast as much information as we can out there about it. Steve, thanks so much for your time, man. Really, you be well.
Thank you.
And we'll be in touch. Thank you very much, Steve.
Yes, thank you.
Bye, Steve.
Bye.
It's interesting stuff, huh, Chris?
That's fantastic. I love that. We got to get him back on again. That was fantastic. I love hearing someone who's really like changing how we think about sex toys and how we think about all these different things. I really am excited about that. So that was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Do you want to hear? Do you have time down for?
Give us one more thing, Steve.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm really focusing on developing, and I'm going to be doing my own pitches and a little podcast on some concepts. But I'm trying to shift the thinking in the average male that's probably more heterosexually aimed or oriented from thinking of sex toys as toys. So, if you go to my website, you'll see a lot of sports-oriented photography. And the reason being is that even though a lot of women are the buyers of my products for their partner, for the men, the reality is we still have to have the man want to try it. And so when I try and draw this comparison is, we design products as with the same amount of detail you'd design any piece of sports equipment to improve your performance. Now, as a guy, if you go and you want to play basketball, you put on a pair of sneakers and you have no shame that that's going to make your game. You're cheating by putting something on your feet and it's going to make you jump higher, right? That's considered acceptable. And that problem is that same thinking does not translate into products that could help you sexually. It in no way says that you can't perform, you can't play basketball without sneakers. It says that when you put the sneakers on, you're probably going to play differently and better and maybe have a better experience. And we're trying to get this idea that our products are sex gear. It's gear that you would buy that's intentionally designed to change or facilitate a better or different experience with your partner. And you're not the only one who benefits from this, but your partner does too. So, I'm trying to get away. We had this whole thing with arousal rings, but really now the whole pitch is, stop thinking of them as toys, because as soon as you think of them as toys, then you're belittling all the research and R&D and focus groups and all the stuff that we've done to create a product that really can alter that experience and make it something new. And that is something that I'm really trying to get. Just that thinking to the man. What do you guys think by that?
I think it's brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I've always had a problem with sex toys being called sex toys. I mean, it's diminutive. It doesn't. I love the idea of using it and using the idea of it as an enhancement, or like you mentioned before, using the sports metaphor. I think that's absolutely brilliant. I really want to applaud you for that.
Well, the idea of the I even like. I don't want to particularly bristle against the word toy, but I have, and when Chris and I write reviews, we'll write reviews about sex toys, adult aids, however you want to say it. But there's something about the language that's a bit pejorative, and I because toy makes me think, or the layman, not me, because I'm so fucking evolved, but for the layman, the layman's thinking, oh, I have to bring this to bed because things are just not going well here, or this is a trivial thing. It's a toy, And,
some things are toys. Don't you agree? There are things in the industry.
Oh,
that
absolutely,
are definitely toys.
Absolutely.
But then there's two classes. Just like there's toys, then there's gear.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Like, some of my products I'm trying to get through. I've been asked by the doctor community to medicalize them. So I have the products like the Play Zone, which I say the Play Zone, but the Exact Fit rings. We make 14 sizes of cock rings. We're the only manufacturer in the world that even went to the trouble to assess why we had to do that.
Yeah.
We spent 2 years focus group testing it. I hired a third-party marketing agency.
Right.
And we did a proper test because I really wanted, before I invested all this money, see, did it really make a difference? And it did, because I knew it would.
And if you extrapolate the idea of, okay, it's just a toy, right? Then you don't go to that next step. You don't. If you're somebody who's interested, not a designer, but the layman, you wouldn't go to the next step sometimes and say, you know what? I don't know why this cock rings are not working. I need something else. But it's just a cock. It's just a cock ring, right?
Right.
As opposed to, this is something that's important to me. It's important to my partner. And that's why we have to have these discussions as well, to bring these things, for want of a better term, out in the open, so people feel comfortable and they realize that their sex lives are important, as much as important part of their lives as any other part of their life.
Absolutely.
Well, the reality is, I think if people go into the store and they buy a cock ring and they don't have a good experience with it, then they're going to always think of cock rings as junky.
Absolutely, and there are probably a ton of people that are in that experience sexually across the board. We've all heard those stories from partners where we get, you start to play with somebody new, or somebody becomes your new romantic partner, and they'll relate a story to you of things they don't do or anymore because of an experience they had. Exactly. Or something they wouldn't try because of an experience they had, or somebody said this and they were,
that's another really good one though, Ralph. I'm on that one too. I say it all the time. Sex is probably the only thing where people will say, if it hurt or didn't work the first time, I won't try it again. And almost everything else, they're like, okay, what can I do to make it better? Do I buy something? Do I use something else, or do I research it? It's like, sex hurt, I'm not doing it again.
Yeah, absolutely. We used a sports metaphor before.
Right.
Most things that we do, I don't know how well we do them the first time we do them.
Right.
I'm from my own experience. I can, if I can remember that far back, the first time I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, I didn't know where anything was, what I was doing. So in any aspect of your existence. So why wouldn't it be the same with your intimate life? But we're so skittish when it comes to that, or to discuss it, or have been taught not to talk about it, that we don't. And I think that it's a good thing that we do, and it's a good thing that you're saying that you're like, why wouldn't we need 14 different types? Mm-hmm. It makes sense. You researched it and you found out you did.
Right. It's just the increment sizing just didn't work. The industry cheaped out. Mm-hmm. They made 3 sizes of rings to fit every man in the world.
Right.
Right.
There you go.
It doesn't work. And and I called it a fun name. I called it the Play Zone, like a toy name, because I knew how much it had to overcome to sell it to get it in the world.
A big jump. Big jump,
right. Yeah. But if you guys are interested in looking, go to Adam and Eve and look for the Play Zone. If it's in stock, we run out there a lot. You read the reviews, because you can see the consumers are the ones that tell the story.
Right.
And they may not even understand it, what it is. They may not even talk about the sizing. They just say, wow, this product really fits great.
This works for me.
Right.
Exactly. That's great.
I'd love to be on your show again, guys. You guys
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You come on anytime, Steve. In fact, we're coming over right now.
All right on.
Well, again, Steve, thank you so much.
Okay.
And that's we'll talk to you soon, and we're going to give a little station identification, and Chris and I'll wrap it up. Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Bye-bye, Steve.
Bye-bye.
What a great.
That was fantastic. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we only have great people here. Other than you and I, we have great people on the show.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception, but yeah.
Let me just tell everybody where they are. They're at Licking Non-Vanilla, and with me, Ralph Greco, and over there is M. Christian. We were going to get somebody else on today, Chris, but it's not going to work. We had such a good discussion with Steve. It's such an informative discussion. I didn't want to stop. I mean, I could talk to that guy all day, as far as I'm concerned. But I think everything he was saying about function, about just the nature of what we're doing and what we want to do, and and not being skittish about it, and kind of being, because we've come from where did we go? You and I were in San Francisco, and did you take me to Mr. Leather, Mr.
Mr. S.
Mr. S. And I got to tell you, that was an
that's
eye opener.
That's a kink institution. I mean, if anybody gets a chance, their website is just Mr. S. Or I can't remember exactly, but if you type in Mr. S Leather, it'll usually pop up. But yeah, the store is amazing, and they've been around forever. I still remember when they were just a small little boutique. But yeah, it's a fantastic place to visit. It's got every kind of toy you can think of, from the sublime to, I wouldn't say ridiculous, but outrageous. And the staff there is fantastic. I really can't rave about them enough.
And it was hetero and homosexual, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was, so when we went in, and it was quite the eye opener. And there's stores like that in the city, in New York City, here, where I live in New Jersey, and there seems to be some, and now, this was way back in the day before things were rampant on the net, but when Chris and I we're talking about, that was like 09 or 10 when we were there. But now, like Steve was just saying, you can go to his site, you can go to Adam and Eve. There's a ton of places to find stuff online. And usually through reviews, because Chris and I have written reviews, or through the knowledgeable people on the site, you can usually get some good insight to what you're going to buy.
Yep.
Like somebody like Steve. Steve is talking about a very well-researched and reasoned experience when you go to PerfectFit there, So that's what you want when you're buying these items. But I'm just interested all the time in the progression of the culture, like how things change and what people are looking at,
I think it's fascinating hearing someone, especially someone who talks about the engineering of it.
That's cool, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like sometimes, like with sex toys, I mean, I don't want to say, I don't want to level blame at them, but sometimes they kind of feel like, oh, we need to produce a butt plug, so we're just going to produce a butt plug. Steve, on the other hand, really thinks it. Really kind of doesn't just produce a toy to meet a need, but really, really puts thought into the engineering, how it's going to function, all these different kind of things. So seeing that kind of passion and dedication is really wonderful. And that's something it's not just exclusive to Steve, though I think he articulated it, really, really well, that, we have other companies, some of them are, women run and operated. Some of them are again, working for different audiences, but really putting a lot of thought into rethinking what sex aids or appliances or equipment, is, which I think is absolutely wonderful.
Well, and you just said it too. You and I work from the marketing standpoint. You and I are writing reviews. We're writing copy.
Mm-hmm.
We're worrying about those, from trying to get people to buy the product from what we write about the product, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to meet and talk to somebody who's all about the designing, the functionality of it, and patents and all that real kind of like minutia is really cool, because we don't talk. We usually just get the thing and say, look, make this sound good. Make people come to this site, blog about this. And that's what we do. That's exactly what we do. And that's our function. But I never think about patents and, it's like 500 page patent. It's like, that's crazy.
It's bonkers.
Right?
I never imagine that. I mean, it's just like,
think about putting that together.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, that's mind boggling.
Oh, I mean, I just have no comprehension of how much work that must be. I mean, of course, like anything else, it's like the more you do, the easier it gets. But still, it's like, gee, that's intimidating and then some.
I know, right? It just blows my mind. But that was cool. It was cool. And I had gotten in touch with his publicist from but she reached out for sex files for my written column on Short and Sweet. And then I said, okay, I'll talk to him for that. And then I said, wait a minute, we got to have him on Licking on Vanilla, because this is going to be cool. We're going to be able to talk about something that's interesting to people and I think is important to people,
Thank you for doing that. I thought I had a blast, and definitely we got to get back on
great.
again, because
it's great. Yeah,
there's all kinds of things I want. I'm thinking I wish I'd ask him about, because
of course,
it's really just like it's like esprit d'escalaire for sex toys, which I know I mispronounced that horribly, but it's just like I just want to hear so much more about it, like his thoughts on like these toys and how they're. I mean, not toys again. AIDS or however you want to call it.
However you want. And we say toys, we're not using it in a pejorative.
No, but I do wish we had a different word for it, and that's something I know both of us have written about before. It's like, toys make it feel non-threatening, which is a positive, but it also, like you said, is a pejorative term, and it doesn't really address
just a bit.
But
like he said, but Steve was right too. There's some instances that toys, you want to use the word toys. Yes. That's right. That's what it is. But like it's for you and I, there's some instances you want to use stud.
Yes.
And but other instances just Chris and Ralph. So that's all that matters. Well, anyway, the time flies here, Chris, right?
Oh, it's absolutely delightful. Always fun, Ralphie.
Yeah. So we thank you for listening to the Licking Non-Vanilla. We are prompting you to go to the website, as well as check us out on Red Circle and YouTube, a whole bunch of places. And we also prompt you to write us, because we know there's people listening, and I'd love to hear from you.
We can hear your breathing.
We know we're around. Yeah, right. We're kind of being heard around the world, I think, globally, as they say. And we'd love to hear from you. So don't be shy. Write us, please. And but for now, we thank you very much for listening to Licking Non-Vanilla, as you seem to always be doing, or maybe this is the first time you're listening, and we want you to come back. My name is Ralph Greco, and over there, that's my co-host. That's
Chris, otherwise known as M. Christian.
And he's the man. I'm not the man. But we had Steve Callow on today from PerfectFit, and we thank you very much for listening. We thank you, Steve, and we'll see you next time, my little droogs. Bye-bye.
And visit us on the web at www.lickingnonvanilla.com.